President Tokayev, thank you so much for this opportunity. It's an honor to have you on Leaders Talk on China Media Group.
It's my pleasure.
President Tokayev, you are president of this country. You're also author of 10 books on international relations. You repeatedly said that you wanted to build a new Kazakhstan with fairness at the center of it all. How would you summarize your philosophies of governance? Where do you want to take Kazakhstan?
I want to put my country just in the center of the Eurasian continent. Kazakhstan plays a very important role in bridging up trade routes, international relations on this part of the world. So Kazakhstan is a very important country. I believe that Kazakhstan's future must be bright. That's why I put my all efforts in order to promote further development of Kazakhstan as an advanced country with a very developed economy.
On many occasions, Mr. President, you talk about the fact that you wanted to build this balanced, multi-directional foreign policy. First of all, how would you define this balanced multi-vectorism or multi-directionism?
It means that we want as many friends around the world as it's possible. And on the international arena, we are highly responsible as far as safety, security are concerned. So I believe that Kazakhstan will be successful in pursuing this kind of foreign policy. It is our historic destiny to be peaceful, to benefit from a friendly relationship with all countries. First of all, with our immediate neighbors, where China plays extremely important.
Let's talk about China, Kazakhstan relations. This relationship has been described by both sides as permanent, comprehensive, strategic partnership. This is very unique in China's foreign policy. Actually, I learned that you are personally invested in the coining of this term. Can you tell us the thinking behind it, and how would you position China in Kazakhstan's current foreign policy?
China plays a very important role in our foreign policy. In September 2019, I went to China to pay a state visit. And we had excellent talks with Chairman Xi Jinping. And we agreed to pursue mutually beneficial policy of bringing our peoples together. It means that we should enjoy strategic partnership, eternal friendship between both countries. I think that it is very much in the interests, in the long-standing interests of the Kazakh people. And I'm very much committed to this kind of policy. And of course, we have no doubts about the importance of having strategic partnership with our immediate neighbor, China.
But if you think about the word eternal, some would say this is the tall order, given the geopolitical realities. Are you confident that this relationship can be eternal?
Yes, because as I have already said and mentioned, we are both immediate neighbors. So it's our historic destiny. And my task as president of this country to make sure that this friendship will obtain a solid basis and will be mutually beneficial politically and, of course, economically.
Let's talk about President Xi. You greeted the Chinese president. You met with him during his state visit last September. It was his first state visit since COVID. Looking from the pictures, it was a very cordial and warm relationship between you and him. You spoke Chinese with him. What do you think of him as a leader, and what do you think of his governance and policies?
I believe that Chairman Xi Jinping is a great leader of China, and he'll be leading China for the bright future without any hesitations. I have a huge respect to him as president of China. We enjoy a trustful relationship, I may say so. And I believe that this kind of personal relationship between both of us will be continuously developing because it's in the interests of both countries. He's a very wise man, very polite, very cordial, as you said. So I think that we'll be enjoying this kind of mutual personal relationship in order to make sure that the overall cooperation between both Kazakhstan and China eventually will become more successful.
There have been a number of Chinese proposals over the years. including building a community of shared future, a global security initiative, global development initiative, and also global civilizations initiative. How do you look at those initiatives proposed by President Xi and by China?
I regard them very positively. I think that it's a real contribution to building a more predictable world in the future. And in general, of course, Kazakhstan supports the initiatives put forward by President Xi Jinping. I have no doubts about the positive impacts on developing the world, which must be free of discrimination, of sanctions, of pressure. So the world must be full of good spirit, friendship, and cooperation.
And President Xi said that China's development path, which has been recently summarized as the Chinese path to modernization, it demonstrated that modernization doesn't necessarily mean westernization. Looking at it as an international relations expert, as a diplomat, as a leader of a country, what do you make of it? What do you think of the Chinese path to modernization?
The point is that both Kazakhstan and China are being situated in Asia. So it's senseless to talk about the westernization because we have our own way of developing ourselves. But at the same time, of course, we need to use positive experience that does exist in so many countries, including the West. First of all, I mean technologies, education, and so on. So I think that we must enrich each other by taking good lessons. But at the same time, of course, there should be no interference in the domestic affairs of any countries from outside.
Last January, there was a video summit between China and Central Asian leaders. And then in February, you, along with 4 other Central Asian leaders, attended the opening of Beijing Winter Olympics. And then there will be this China-Central Asia summit in May. Is it your sense, too, that China and Central Asia are moving closer towards each other, not just economically, but also strategically? And in particular, what are your expectations for this China-Central Asia summit, the first of its kind?
My expectations from the summit, which is going to take place in Xi'an, Central Asia and China are very high. China plays increasingly important role in our part of the world, in Central Asia, and it's quite natural. I think that all my colleagues in Central Asia would agree with me that we benefit from our relations with China, and we'll be doing our best in order to promote this kind of cooperation.
And then what would be your response to some commentaries that say that China and Central Asia are moving closer towards one another, and they're concerned about this growing closeness or intimacy in this geopolitical balance?
There should be no suspicions about that, because our intentions are quite open, sincere. The fact is that China, number 2 in terms of its economy in the world. China has become a juggernaut in terms of its economic development. So we should acknowledge the role of China, and we need to build very good relationship with your country.
Talking about the economy, China has been one of Kazakhstan's largest trading partners for many, many years. And you talked about the fact that you wanted to advance this economic partnership. Do you have any specific areas or sectors in mind?
I think that we enjoy a very close relationship in so many areas. The overall trade between both states reached $31 billion. In this context, of course, China has shown itself as a very reliable partner. We are ready to develop as many areas of mutual cooperation as it's possible in the future. We welcome investments from China. We welcome businessmen from China. And I think that we'll be hosting them very well here in Kazakhstan. I strongly believe, it's my personal belief as president of this country, that the Chinese investors are very good.
We're marking the 10th anniversary of the BRI. Kazakhstan is very much a key part of it, both symbolically and substantively. If you think about the fact that BRI was first conceived right here in Astana, right?
in 2013.
How do you look at the merits of the BRI and what do you think has brought to your country?
It's a very promising mega project, and Kazakhstan strongly supports the concept which has been elaborated here 10 years ago by President Xi Jinping. This project may bring a lot of benefits for so many countries. So Kazakhstan plays a crucial role in implementing this project.
And also another very important regional organization that is taking a global importance is Shanghai Cooperation Organization. And this year, Kazakhstan will assume the chairmanship of SCO. How do you look at its role in the evolving geopolitical landscape? And what do you think a chairmanship from Kazakhstan can bring to this organization?
The Shanghai Organization for Cooperation has proven to be a very promising, a very influential organization. And it's about China, which has greatly supported the Shanghai Organization for Cooperation from the very beginning. This organization has started its activities in Shanghai in 1996. And as foreign minister of this country, I have been participating in the launching ceremony. So I'm proud to have been involved in the activities of the Shanghai Organization for Cooperation from the very beginning. And of course, Kazakhstan as a future chairman and host country of the summit of this organization will be doing its utmost in order to increase the potential of SCO. And I believe that this organization, as I have already said, became a very famous, a very influential one in the current world. From my personal point of view, and I have said it at the summit in Bishkek, the Shanghai Organization of Cooperation has become one of the most developed and successful organizations in the world.
Talking about international relations, Mr. President, in recent years, some countries framed China as a threat. There's both rhetoric and actual policies of antagonizing China, of attempting to decouple with China, and of containing China. How do you feel about that?
I feel sorry about that. I don't share this view, and we do not support this concept. Speaking about Kazakhstan, we strongly believe that China is a very good friend of my country. And looking back in the historic developments, China never made any damage to the Kazakh people. And of course, we keep it in our historic memory, and we very much appreciate this.
Talking about Taiwan, it is a hot button issue. Actually, you recently said that, actually said it on many occasions, that it is very important to uphold territorial integrity for all countries. Recently, you rejected calls for Taiwan independence. Can you elaborate?
We believe that it's a question which should be absolutely clear to everybody in the world. Taiwan is a part of China. So the principle of the territorial integrity of all states has been fixed in the Charter of the United Nations, which must be respected. And this principle also has been put in the declaration and in the Charter of the Shanghai Organization for Cooperation. So once again, for us, it's absolutely clear. Taiwan is a part of China, and we have no hesitations about that.
Would you support an eventual Chinese reunification?
Yes, of course. I think that eventual reunification will take place sooner or later. And there are Chinese who live in Taiwan. There are Chinese who live in China. So they must be together.
President Tokayev.